Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching yet another episode of Lima Shenanigans 1977. It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It is time for the NXT Event Center Wrestling Report featuring the superstars of the future in the WWE. And it's on the CW network every Tuesday night at 8. And here's the man that will bring you the report from the show itself. He is Mr. Shenanigans himself, Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, episode 2039. Just a little update on my thumbnails. I've been working on them. I'm working on getting some renders up. Working on getting renders together. That way I can create my thumbnails. I'm going to try to create the background of, especially my wrestling reports. I'm going to change the wrestling reports. I figured it's about time that I do so. And I did a little tweaking of some things. You're going to like my new renders. Not new renders, my new thumbnails. And I'm hoping to get them up when I'm on my vacation. I'll give myself plenty of time to work on them and improving them every step of the way. I'm really excited about it, and just, I can't wait to show you guys. And I can't wait to show you guys my new thumbnails. I'm also going to work on my new thumbnails for my game shows, my game show flash gameplays that I do too. So just tune in, be aware, and try to check out my channel if you can, often to see if you see any new thumbnails, new changes, and you're probably going to be very, very pleased. And you can tell me what you think about them, but don't comment them on yet. Until I put them up, exactly, because they're not done yet. They're in the beginning stages, and so it's a really, really cool thing. So I'm really excited about it and working on it, and just I'm getting the everything together. You don't like them. Like I said, some of the people did logo icon badges with the circle and all that, and had the logo at the bottom. I figured, I can do that too, and but I want to add my own 2 cents in it. Well, we're going to talk about what happened on NXT, the Vengeance Day fallout, and you're talking about a fallout. I mean, a serious fallout. Now, the 4 gentlemen that made their mark on Vengeance Day, well, let's just say that they made one man very angry. That's Obafemi, the NXT champion. He decided to kick things off. So he comes out. He says, I did what I had to do, beating up A-Town Down Under. And meanwhile, A-Town Down Under was starting with some kid on Raw, and Pat McAfee said, "This kid can kick your butt." And that's funny. I thought that was pretty hilarious. But then Obafemi decided to call out the 4 gentlemen that attacked him. He said, "One thing you 4 fools didn't do is finish the job, so why don't you just finish what you started?" So I figured, okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? And all of a sudden the lights went out. We figured out the 4 guys had arrived. But some music was being played. And then, ladies and gentlemen, looks like TNA crossed the line again, because Moose, a man that we interviewed, the second interview of 2024, last year, Moose was the second guy that we interviewed over at Rant and Rave, came to NXT. I'm like, what? So I can safely say that we've interviewed 2 guys that crossed the line to the WWE. Alex Shelley, who signed with the WWE with Chris Sable as one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, and now the X Division champ Moose as this is great. I'm like, this is totally insane. So Moose confronts Obafemi. He said, this needs to happen. In the words of Big E, big meaty man slapping meat. I want sign me up with that. These two. No, you're talking about stand and deliver. Champion versus champion. X Division champ Moose versus the NXT heavyweight champ Obafemi. Come on. We got to get this match again. Fans were going completely nuts. And I thought, the internet's broken when to see those two in the ring. So I'm like, you don't get the 4 guys, we'll give you Moose. Okay. So I thought that was crazy. And also, Abel was talking to Eddie Thorpe wants to get his title shot, and Abel's like, he got shot after shot after shot. But then Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors interrupt him, and then when Andre Chase's name brought up, he said, on the behalf of Mr. Chase, we're challenging you to a matchup. Eddie Thorpe goes, fine. So, and then the Triple Threat #1 contenders matchup for the Women's North American title. Jada Parker went up against Carmen Petrovich, who was accompanied by Ashante the Adonis and Kaylani Jordan. And while Jada Parker was too busy showboating during the matchup, Carmen Petrovich pinned Jordan to win the matchup. And next week, there will be a North American Championship match with Stephanie Vaquer, the newly minted Queen Pin, North American Queen Pin, will defend that title against Carmen Petrovich. But Kaylani Jordan and Parker decided to brawl after the matchup still. And meanwhile, Fatal Influence was not very happy at the fact that Fallon Henley did not get a rematch, decided to attack Carmen Petrovich. And Ashante the Adonis, what the heck is he thinking? He's got to come for his girl, He's got to stand up for his girl, I know he's a gentleman and don't want to put your hands on a woman, but and then he tried to, but then J.C. Jane smacked him in the back with a chair for his troubles. I'm like, they're that bad enough they attacked Ashante the Adonis. He sacrificed himself for his girl, for goodness sake. So you know what? More man to him. More power to him on that. And then about had enough of what they seen during the commercial break. They did a picture-in-picture. The North American champion Stephanie Vaquer and the NXT Women's World Champ Julia stepped up and tried to attack tried to fight back with Fatal Influence coming to Carmen Petrovich's aid. But the 3-on-2 numbers advantage caught up with the two champions. And then Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace wasted no time getting into the mix of things and helping out Vaquer and Julia. And then Jordan Grace grabbed the microphone and said, hey, how about this? You want to fight? Let's fight. Jordan Grace wasted no time making her official debut as a member of the NXT roster. And possibly a main event situation. Excuse me, I scratched my back. So that match, that 6-woman tag match, Fatal Influence versus Julia, Vaquer, and Grace for the main event. Meanwhile, the D'Angelo family, they were talking about taking care of business as Channing Stacks Lorenzo goes one-on-one with Shawn Spears. Meanwhile, the tag team match of Soruka and Zarya versus the Meta Girls, that will be Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. And heck of a matchup. Soruka and Zarya want another matchup. Maybe they could be a threat if they keep this up. I call them beach breakers because Soruka loves the beach. Zarya likes to break people's bones. That's what. Zarya does remind me a lot of Beth Phoenix, though. We have an Australian version of Beth Phoenix. Zarya is it. I think a little bit of a mix of China in between, and I'll tell you one thing right now. And she is pretty, Even with the war paint on, she is pretty. But with the war paint off, she is even prettier, So, I don't like Australian women. I don't know. The only thing I don't like about Australia are them bugs, especially the spiders, That's about it, Yeah, I have a thing for Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm. I think for Harley Cameron now, Zarya. Rhea Ripley's cool too. But she's married, unfortunately, so. And plus, Rhea Ripley can kill me. So can Zarya. No big deal, but whatever. Whatever. So, anyways, Sarah Schreiber interviewed Wes Lee, Tariq Igwe, and Tyson DuPont. And they were talking about what Wesley's about to talk, and then Ricky Starks walks by them, and Sarah Schreiber, and they haven't mentioned his name yet, because I think his name's going to be a little different, but we'll get more into that because it's Sarah Schreiber interview, and Ricky Starks says, well, in about a few minutes, I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to sign on the dotted line and waste no time. So then the contract signing began as Ava oversees the contract signing with Ricky Starks. Starks addresses the NXT universe. But then as about to sign, Ethan Page interrupts Ricky Starks. And then Ricky Starks brings up Javon Evans. And then Javon Evans blindsides blindsides Ethan Page. And they fight through the crowd. And then he said, well, let's get this done and over with. And Wes Lee interrupts him. And then Ricky Starks goes, okay. And then he punches Wes Lee and tosses him out of the ring. And security grabs Wes Lee and separates him from Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks takes the contract and signs it. And you look at the paper. Ricky Starks will now go by the name Ricky Saints. Now, I heard that he's from New Orleans. I read about he was from New Orleans, Louisiana. And Ricky Saints, he named himself after, he put his last name after the New Orleans Saints. So Ricky Saints is his official name. Don't know how I feel about that, but, I think it does make sense he's from New Orleans, Louisiana, but it doesn't matter. The revolution will be televised immediately. But we're not done with Ricky Saints as of yet. Sarah Schreiber, though, interviewed Fraxium. They don't know what's next, and they want to cement themselves as the greatest tag team of all time, but the No Quarter Catch crew, especially Tavian Heights and Miles Bourne, say, you know what, we'll have our time soon, but we're going to challenge the greatest tag team of all time. And then Tavian Heights says, how about this? Hardys. Next week, you got the Hardy Boys. The Hardys. The TNA Tag Champions. Next week in Cincinnati. And then after Ricky Saints signs the contract, he sees all the tag teams that were blindsided in the backup. And Ricky Saints looks, this place is crazy. And then you come to find out that that the quartet of gentlemen must have snuck in and did a number on those tag teams. How? They were outnumbered. So then Cheney Stacks Lorenzo went up against Sean Spears, and Sean Spears ended up winning that matchup. Lexis King talks to Moose, and then all of a sudden Lexis King says, how about you and I go one-on-one? And then Moose says, you mean to tell me to put this prestigious title on the line in your hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio? Yeah. And then Moose goes, you got it. So next week, the X Division. This is the first time in WWE television the X Division title from TNA will be on the line as the Moose defends it against Lexis King. Can't wait for that matchup. Then Dixon and Connors talked to Andre Chase. Andre Chase, why'd you put me in the matchup? I didn't want this matchup. And he says, you're Andre Chase. Chase U is dead. And I think he's trying to fight the fact that, that Chase U is still alive. We have not seen Riley Osborne nor Thea Hale. Who knows what's happened to those two. Meanwhile, Andre Chase went one-on-one with Eddie Thorpe, and Dixon and Connors came through the crowd to cheer on Andre Chase. But as Andre Chase was about to do the Chase U stomp, he looked and there was and he's still struggling with the fact. But Eddie Thorpe took advantage of the situation, pinned him for the 1-2-3. Thorpe wins the matchup. But then Trick Williams addresses Eddie Thorpe, says, you know what, if I'm going to hell, I'm taking you with me. So Trick Williams is still not done with Eddie Thorpe by a long shot. And then Ava was talking to Ricky Saints about the crazy situation in TNA. Is it? NXT. He says, you know what? Sometimes once you hear every week, you'll get used to it. And Saints goes, he has no problem with that. He likes it. So, but then Ethan Page interrupts him. He says, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about Javon Evans. And he said, and Ricky Saints is like, oh yeah, after you kicked your butt, And then Wes Lee says, I want a piece of you. And then Javon Evans comes jumping in, and then Ava's like, okay, that's enough. Easy Fix next week in Cincinnati. Ethan Page and Wesley team up against Javon Evans and Ricky Saints. So Ricky Saints will make his NXT debut teaming with Javon Evans. That's going to be That Boy Bouncy. And then you got That Boy Bouncy. And then you got Ethan Page. So this is the first time ever two former AEW wrestlers will clash against each other in a WWE NXT ring. And I just can't wait. Cincinnati is going to be off the hook. By the way, the Hardys... hold up. By the way, the Hardys accepted the challenge of the No Quarter Catch Crew. Next week, it'll be the Hardys versus the North... It's a Hardys versus first four-way back on WWE television in a few years. And I forget when they made their return. But the last time they were on WWE television, I do believe. I think it was 2020. So, 2020, 2021, I forget when. So like I said, next week, North American title on the line, Stephanie Vaquer versus Kari Petrovic, the X Division on the title on the line. Moose against Lexis King. And then the 6-woman tag. Stephanie Vaquer, Jordan Grace and Julia versus Fatal Influence. Grace Vaquer and Julia, I call them Team GVG, won the matchup. But then at the end, the four men decide to attack Robert Stone in his office, vandalize the whole thing. Ava found out what that was, walked in, what the heck is going on. And then she looked up, there was spray paint, and no one is safe. Those four gentlemen are vicious, let me tell you, and believe me. We all know who they are. They're from the PC crew, but who are they going to mess up next? Only time will tell. Well, that is it. That is all the time we have on this episode of 2039 of Eric Lima Shenanigans 1977. Tomorrow we're going to spin the big wheels on the old slot machine and try to defeat that rotten devil on the Joker's Wild. And then we got AEW Dynamite, the fallout from Grand Slam in Australia as well. So, that's all the time. That's it. Say goodbye for now. And until the next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. That is all for today's episode. This is your announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E, doing for Bob Saget Productions, and in association with Raven Bofa Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching today's episode. Tune in next time for another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. Goodbye for now.